Asset based here with Marco. Asset based here with Frank. So we're here with Marina.
I'm here with Sam.
Asset based here with Samir. Freight carrier sitting with Fook. Asset based here with Duke. Asset based here with Augie. Asset based here with Hector. Asset based here with Dayan.
Jeden vylečit.
Yeah, go Marco. What is going on, everybody? Asset based here with season 2, episode 2, with a rather shocking guest. If you've been following me or my guest for some period of time, I'm going to be joined today by Jason Rabine, the president of Max Freightlines. Let's get right into it. What's going on, man?
What's up, fella?
Hey, how you doing? How's your day going?
You know, it's Friday. I'm in LA traveling for some personal stuff. Gotta go check on a family member who's not doing well and running a business from the car. You know, this shit never sleeps.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of freight, man. Obviously, throughout any life event, the business doesn't stop, that's for sure.
Absolutely. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, man. Like you said, Friday, trying to wrap up the week, get everything under control. And as I've stated, for anybody who might be watching this, who's known both of us for, I don't know, more than a year, I would say it's going to be a rather interesting episode for the people viewing it.
I'm excited. I think the people need it. They want it. I think it's good for both of us. It's good for the industry. So I'm about it.
Yeah, I think 2025 is going to be the year of collaboration, growth, change. I mean, a lot of my close friends have partnered up with people that we all know as well. And I think the industry really needs to just be cohesive going into 2025, given the past 2-3 years, how it's gone.
Well, anybody who's been following LinkedIn and knows you and knows me knows we've had history and it has never been positive. And
I wouldn't say never. It definitely started out positive.
We all have our own opinion of the situation. I don't remember it ever being positive in my opinion, but I'm an asshole 24/7. So for me, my vision of things is much different from most. But what I think is amazing is the industry itself is so fragmented in that us versus them, and you and me are us versus them. You were on the carrier side, you were dispatching,
Yep.
you were a broker, you came from the other side of the fence. I've always stood firm on my side of the fence. And the fact that we can sit here today and have a civil conversation, we don't have to disagree with each other. Hell, we don't even have to like each other. Not saying that that's not the case, but as an example of the industry, we need to come together as grown-ups and have conversations that are uncomfortable, that get us closer to the goal where everybody's winning and everybody's eating. There's plenty of food out there for us all to eat. There's no reason for us all to complain about scraps,
No, I think you really said it, man. I think that's a testament to my career growth and personal growth over time, right? Is when me and you were kind of going at it with each other. I was on the carrier side of things. You were obviously standing firm on the brokerage side, which you've been. And I've had the chance to go into brokerage. And obviously, I've seen the other side of the fence and have grown to, have a greater understanding of the industry as a whole. Yep. And obviously, that's taken down my fiery attitude as us versus them mentality for sure.
Well, and to segue off that, I started a trucking company 4 months ago. So now I'm starting to see stuff from the asset side. I've always looked at myself as pro carrier, but I'm pro quality carrier and I'm anti shit. Like if you're a shit broker, carrier, customer, It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like I'm going to tell you about it.
It doesn't matter. Like if you're a shitty broker, I'll be the first one to call you out. I'm not shy, but again, my opinions are mine, not anyone else's, and I stand on business. But I'd like to think I'm also humble enough to, say maybe a year ago I felt some type of way and I've learned and grown, and today I may not feel the same way I did a year ago. And that's, like you just said, that shows the growth of us as men and as professionals and adults. And so I welcome this conversation.
Yeah, so do I. And I think you hit the nail on the head pre-show pretty well by saying, our sort of aggressiveness comes from the passion we both do share for the industry. Mm-hmm. And when you're, a professional, when you're turning into a man, and you stand on 10 toes, if you're passionate about something, you might get aggressive about it. And I think if people don't have passion, then they're never going to have any emotion, good or bad, towards anything.
Definitely. And listen, sometimes passion comes across as intimidating because I'm not the type of person that can walk in a room and be fake. Like if I'm pissed and I walk in a room, that whole room knows it. And if I'm in a good mood, the whole room knows it. I can carry a room. I don't like that, but that is just who I am. So there's not a shred of fake in me. So if I don't like somebody, even if I'm not talking about it or say it, somebody knows, like, and I try to minimize the damage, the collateral damage that causes. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't give a shit what people think about me. My opinions are mine. You don't have to like them, and that's okay. And I think part of my growth was for the longest time, I cared what people thought about me. So I definitely sugar-coated some things. They were
Yeah.
truthful things, but there was some sugar on top to make it sweet so that I was careful not to offend. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I could really give a shit about somebody else's feelings. Like if they have a problem with something that I said, that speaks more about them than me.
Yeah.
And I've only got so many breaths left in this world, and I'm gonna make sure I maximize my opportunity. Not necessarily to always be an asshole, but when the time calls, I will stand on that box for sure. But
Oh, of course. I mean,
I'm
definitely standing for something is better than standing for nothing. And I
thousand
think I've
percent.
honestly tried to live by the motto. I mean, I've known this for years, but it was tough to kind of act on. And I mean, the motto goes like this, if you don't have my cell phone number, you can't hate me because obviously you don't know me well enough.
Facts.
And I think that's something I've been trying to kind of live by over the past 6, 12 months, where it's like, whatever opinion I've built about somebody based, whether it's on their LinkedIn or other social medias or through work, it's like, do I really actually know that person, or do I just know the
Right.
person that they want me to think that they are, right?
Right.
And I've just been trying to live by that. But okay, man, we've buried the hatchet. Let's get into
Yes,
this
sir.
conversation. How
Excellent.
did you get into logistics, man?
Well, my dad was a truck driver, so it's in my DNA. I thought as a kid I was going to be a truck driver like Pops, till I went on one trip with him, and yeah, bro, no, no,
This guy just
no,
said, yeah, nah.
no, no chance. My dad would smoke a carton of Cools, and he'd be from LA to the East Coast and back in 4 days, rocking out to some Garth Brooks on just some honky shit. And I think I glamorized what he did until I actually went with him, and I was like, this sucks. I have ADD. I
Yeah.
can't sit here and drive a truck all day. Like, no, no.
I think that job from the outside looks super cool, especially when you're a kid. You're like, wow,
It's
look at
so
this big
hard.
equipment, all this. And then you get in the truck and it's like 18 hours of staring at the same road.
It is. And it's like, but listen, my dad was kind of a lone wolf. It was perfect for him. He got to do him without anybody in his grill. Yeah, he wasn't home often. He was home maybe 3 days a month, and he slept for those 3 days. So even when he was home, he really wasn't present. But I knew he had to do what he had to do to, provide for our family, and
Of course.
nothing but respect for the men and women that sacrifice their relationships, in home time, comforts, all of that stuff to make a living. And let's face it, it's not hard. Excuse me, it's not easy. It's incredibly difficult. You're
Yeah.
alone, right? You make shit money now. I mean, my dad was making the same money they were making today in the 80s and 90s. So if that tells you
Yeah, I
anything,
just
inflation,
saw
terrible.
that through, I think Justin Martin posted that, where he was like, man, I was making the same money back at like whatever it was,
Mhm.
like early 2000s.
I'm starting to wonder why I lived in an apartment for so long, Dad. Where'd all that money go, bro? Like, come on, dog. Like,
Yeah, now that you're
Pops
in
is out there
logistics, you're
smacking.
like, yeah.
Nah, he was smacking lot lizards across the country for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
no
if he was
excuse.
pulling home 1,200 a week, man, in the 80s and
Yeah,
90s driving a truck, I mean, you guys should have been well
killing
off.
it, killing it. But yeah, I went across. So the trip that I took with my dad, I was 14. The Oklahoma City bombing had happened the year before, and we drove through Oklahoma City, and I physically saw the Oklahoma City bombing building in half. Right. So like this is the first time I really had a chance to travel. Yeah, it was exciting to go with my dad and see the country, but the art of driving in the truck, no, dude, absolutely not. And this is pre-internet, so like our attention span wasn't
Yeah.
as spicy, but it just wasn't for me. And I knew right then and there that wasn't my path. So, I shelved that idea early. I,
So
I
your
really
dad
want.
was driving OTR like
Yeah.
his entire career for like
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
He drove for Ryder, and he moved open deck spools of wire. And he drove from Phoenix and LA to New Jersey and back once a week. So
Wow, yeah.
he'd do a 5-day turn, come home for
Yeah,
12 hours,
back
do
in the
another
paper
5-day
log
turn.
days, man, this
Yes,
guy was
sir.
just killing it.
Triple OG paper log. Yes, sir. Pops was
Yeah.
crazy. He went. My dad went. And
So okay, your dad's obviously one of the OG truck drivers. You get in the
yep,
truck, you're like, nah, this is not gonna happen. I mean, where
definitely.
does your logistics career actually start?
So let's go fast forward to 2014. I live in Boston. I'm a call center manager. I've always been in sales, customer service, call centers, kind of my thing. And it's cold in Boston in February, and they were
Oh
using
yeah,
words like, dude,
wow.
they were using words that they were making up words for how cold it was, like bomb cyclone and polar vortex. I'm like, bro, it's -20. Fuck with this other. It's cold, bro. But
Yeah,
I had
super
homies that
cool.
lived in LA that were in Phoenix at the lake in February. And I looked at my wife at the time and I was like, why do we live here? She's from New England, so we moved to New England when we got married. And literally we looked at each other and we both just said, I don't know why we live here. So we sold everything we could. We packed up our little Subaru Forester, we packed our kids up, and we just drove to Phoenix, no place to live, no job, 4 grand in our pocket, and we just were a gypsy. And I had put out a post on Facebook, hey, moving to Phoenix, anyone's got a plug on a job, let me know. And so before I moved to Boston, I grew up in Glendale. I'm an original 818 boy. So I grew up in Glendale, California. Alan Lund is in La Crescenta, which is 10 minutes north of Glendale. A couple of my high school friends recommended that I apply to work at Alan Lund. They have an office in Phoenix. I know nothing about the brokerage side. I don't understand logistics. The only thing I know is my dad drove a truck, right? So
Yeah.
I start driving across the country. I get phone calls from Carrie and Human Resources. I start doing phone interviews at truck stops as I'm zigzagging across the country. I pull into Phoenix. I don't have a place to live. I literally grabbed the suit, went right into the Allen Lund office and interviewed and was hired on the spot. And the rest is history.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, I want to just clean up a timeline thing with you if you don't mind sharing it.
Yeah.
So, you were born in California and then
Yep.
you end up in Phoenix. And then how do you end up in Boston?
So when I was 17, I moved to Phoenix. My dad had moved from LA to Phoenix, and I went and I stayed with my dad when I was 17, 18. I was just a piece of shit human being, dropped out of high school, um, made some bad life choices. So I spent a year with my dad in Phoenix and ended up homeless here in Phoenix. And I lived on the street for 14, 15 months. And randomly one day I picked up a help wanted ad, and there was an advertisement for a traveling sales company, and it was a magazine sales company. They traveled across the country and sold magazines. So I call this lady on a cell phone, this random person I don't know. She gives me a quick phone interview. She's like, hey, I got a Greyhound ticket for you. Go to the Greyhound station. So I'm homeless. I have no clothes. I don't have deodorant, a toothbrush, a wallet, nothing. And they give me a bus ticket. I get on the bus, I go to Northern California, and I meet up with this company of 400 kids my age, and we just traveled the country selling magazines. We'd knock on doors and hustle subscriptions. And I met my wife the very next day that I got into Northern Cal. I met my future wife, and she was from Boston, so we traveled the country for a minute. And when we were done, we were in Vermont, and we just decided, since it was closer to where she grew up, that's where we were gonna go. We got married, had kids, lived there for 10 years.
Wow.
So
Okay. So,
yeah,
your first sales experience is this whole cross country magazine thing,
yeah,
which obviously brought you across the entire country.
yep.
That's a pretty wild story, bro.
Yeah, I don't live a cookie cutter life, man. There's been some wild scenarios in my story. But what's
Yeah, I'm
cool
happy
is,
you've shared some of it too, because I've
yeah,
gone through some things and I'm like, man, also like living that sober life these days, and it's nice, to hear from people that see doing well these days. Like, hey, it wasn't always like this. I had to also overcome some things, and I think sharing those dark moments really, like, you don't know who's gonna see that and who's gonna take
no.
motivation from things like that, right?
And listen, as men, we're conditioned, if you will, to shoulder the burden and not say anything for fear
Yeah,
of judgment, for fear of lowering our self worth. And for me, I don't care about that. I care about being able to be honest about the good, bad, and ugly. And then the people that gravitate towards me during my worst times have proven that they're worthy to be with me at my best times. So
No, of course.
if you don't share the struggle, you know, people don't really get to know you, and then they don't let you into their struggles. And that's where the real deep connections come from, is how can we connect on a deeper level other than we both just like something, right? Like we both share a passion. I'm a recovering alcoholic. A lot of my best friends are in recovery. And those are people that I can relate to on a life level that I can't even relate to with my family sometimes. So, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes the best relationships come from the darkest places.
No, that's 100% true. And I mean, there's always like the talk, you know, like women in logistics, things like this, but it just not even in a logistics sense. I mean, men are obviously, we face our own struggles of not talking to people and not telling people things that bother us. And, you know, that's just like one of the unwritten rules of being a man. You know, so.
Yep. And you know what? At the end of the day, just because you tell the world you have a problem or you struggle or you suffer or you've been to therapy, it does not make you any less of a man. I'm a grown ass alpha male to the fullest, and I will openly tell you I have struggled with mental health and addiction. I go to therapy. It doesn't make me any less of a man, and anyone who thinks that can go fuck themselves at this point.
Yeah,
Ain't
no,
I'm not tripping at
100%.
all. Yeah.
Trying to fix yourself and work on yourself.
Yeah.
If anybody looks down on you for that, like that's not somebody you want to deal with anyways. So.
I have kids. They have a role model in life. I can't sit here and pretend to be perfect because it builds a false perception of what they think reality is going to be. And I'm telling you right now, the minute I send them out into this world, the world's going to try to swallow them whole. And if they're not prepared, it's my fault. So I would rather them have a front row seat of the good, bad, and ugly from dad's point of view, so that when they get out there, they have a better understanding of all the shit that's going to try to eat them alive.
Yeah, my parents did a good job with that. I mean, my mom specifically, where it was like, you know, she just prepared me for the harsh realities. Like the world is tough, and like if you're not tough, it's gonna screw you up. And
100%.
I mean, that's all you can really do with your kids is just treat them and train them and teach them, you know, how to be good enough on their own without you. I think that's the job of a parent.
You have to teach them some callousness, not to let all the little bits of noise make them think some type of way about themselves. They have to be tough mentally, but emotionally available to understand that you have to kind of pick and choose when it's time to be tough and when it's time to be a teddy bear, right?
Yeah.
And nobody perfects that, but if that's not a constant effort,
if you're not striving for that,
yeah.
All right, back on topic here, man. We've dropped some like fire stuff about mental health, though. I won't even lie. Back on topic. You start at Allen Lund. What's your first position, and what are you kind of doing out in?
I was the bitch. I was the broker in training. I was the you don't get dat for 6 months. Here's a list. Call and make friends, kid. And that was my background. You hand me a list, bro. I don't care. So you know, no one really taught me how to be an account manager. No one really taught me how to broker. You just kind of learn by doing. You obviously listen to everybody and they teach you the basics of what a broker is, but the art of brokering is really it's built in one's DNA. You know, we all do the same thing, but we all do it differently and we all have success at it. So there's no one size fits all. So
no, for sure.
I didn't even know Dad or Truck Stop existed for 6 months. I started in May of 2014, which in Arizona is right in the middle of produce season, the hardest time of the year. And by the third month, I was the number one broker in the office, just a tenacious asshole, just smile and dial, make friends. Didn't even really know what I was doing, but I called 200, 300, 400 people a day. I left voicemails. I talked to everybody. And this was back when you could call somebody and have a conversation and build a relationship without actually having a load for them. Now nobody wants to be bothered if you don't have something to offer them. So the ecosystem from 11 years ago versus today is very different. I'm fortunate enough that I built relationships over my career that have helped me through up and down markets. If you're just starting today, man, the odds are stacked against you just ridiculously. So mad props to anybody who just started in the last 2-3 years and are doing well. But yeah, I mean,
we've had I can't remember who it was now. I really honestly don't remember. I mean, they had a book of business and then they like stepped out of operations because it was like bothering them. Then they're, you know, it was just too much and burned out.
Yep.
And then they got back like 6, 7, 8 months ago trying to build their book again. And like, yo, what the fuck happened to this
Very
market?
different. I've actually worked with people recently that started with me at Allen Lund who took a 5-year break, came back and thought they could just hop back on that horse, and it is not the same ecosystem. It is
Yeah,
not
you're getting kicked in the teeth a lot more these
100%,
days. That's for
all
sure.
all day, man. So
So
yeah,
you start Allen Lund, man, Smile Dial. You start getting
yep,
some freight. I mean, how
yep.
many years you spend at Allen Lund? I'm assuming you just became an account
7,
manager throughout that process.
7 or 8. I considered myself a lifer there. I never wanted to leave. I just assumed that it would be my forever home. And even though I don't work there now, it's still home to me. I have an affinity for the family, for the culture, for the company. They do things the right way. They taught me how to do things the right way. So
Yeah,
I
side note,
started.
as a carrier, every time I hauled Allen Lund, man, I rarely ever had a single issue. I mean, they were
Yeah,
always good to me.
good peoples. You're gonna have bad seeds, bad moments, bad days, but
Yeah.
overall, culturally as a
99%
company,
of the Allen Lund freight I hauled
yes,
was always like pretty chill.
phenomenal reputation, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So nothing but flowers to Kenny, Eddie, David, and so I was a broker in training for about 9 months. I became a broker inside a year. Um, I got promoted to senior broker, I think, within 2 years, and I was an operations manager within 3.
And then what takes you kind of out of there? I mean, you thought it was going to be where you stay forever. I mean, we don't have to get into the specifics of
Oh,
it, but I mean, how do
I'm
you
not
leave?
shy. I'm not shy at all. I'm not a good manager. I don't deal with
Yeah.
bullshit. I'm not politically correct. I am not HR friendly when I'm a manager. So listen, I'm a manager one day. Kid calls me, says, "Yo, I can't come to work today. My dog has hiccups." I about shit myself. I was like, FaceTime me right now. And he's like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "First of all, it's 7 in the morning on a Monday, bro. You're hungover. You're in Vegas. Something ain't adding up here. Your dog having hiccups. One, your dog isn't sick if it has hiccups. Okay. Two, you can't take a sick day on behalf of your hiccuping dog. You know what I mean? Like you could take an unpaid or a vacation day, but you don't get a sick day because you want to watch. No.
Yeah,
So
you could just take, like, if I was him in that situation, I mean, I rarely ever take any days off, but if I
yeah,
was him, I would just say, hey, man, I need an unpaid. Like, I'm not going to
fine.
ever tell my manager, yo, my dog has hiccups, bro.
Bro, I had a hard time pausing and then operating with HR guidelines,
Yeah,
right? I just was like, the fuck? No,
yeah,
bro.
literally.
10 minutes later my phone rings. It's somebody. Why am I calling you this early, Jason? Why am I getting calls on your behalf? And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm not good
This
at
just isn't for
managing.
me. Yeah.
It's not for me. Like,
Yeah.
number one, I'm still brokering freight. I'm still the number one broker in the office as the
Yeah.
operations manager. So if I'm managing the office and I'm out hustling all the people in my office, there's a level of respect that I expected to come my way because I was a working manager. Unfortunately, when you hire some of these younger kids who don't understand and appreciate the value of hard work, who expect maximum pay for minimal effort, not going to happen. And if my pay is directly related to their effort, I'm an asshole. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to be a jerk anymore. I didn't want to feel the anxiety of I'm babysitting children. Like my kids at home are better behaved than some of you grown ass men and women in this office with me. So I had a
Especially in
hard time.
trucking, bro.
Yeah, dude. And listen, at the end of the day, F bombs for breakfast is normal in trucking. And I can't
Yeah.
F bomb the dude who walks in late every day with a Starbucks in his hand. Like, so I
Yeah.
literally
I
walked up to
mean,
my boss one day and I was like, hey, I don't think I want to be a manager anymore. I just want to go back to being a broker. And he said, you know what? Sleep on it. Call me, we'll talk on Monday. And I went home and smashed a 30 rack of Keystone Light. And I said, I'm never going back. And Monday morning, I smashed another 12 pack of Corona and had my exit interview. And deuces, I was gone. Never.
no, I mean,
Eh,
that's in my career. I feel that with you, right? Because I've found the most success, and not even just success, but just like my most happy places in smaller operations where there is no HR, and they're like, this is trucking at the end of the day, right? Like, if I
Right.
tell you, like, go fuck yourself, like, this is trucking, like, this
Yep.
is how it technically. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's
No,
wrong. I'm just saying this is what the industry is, and to
it
me,
really is.
that's
It's
the appeal of
unfiltered.
it.
It's
Yeah, this is
unfiltered
like
and
a
unhinged.
no
Yeah.
nonsense industry. I mean, if things are going wrong, I'm not going to tell you like, oh, can you like please like, yeah, I'm just gonna tell you like you like just destroyed that load, like just get out of my face. Like
Yeah,
this is trucking, and
it
that's
is.
the appeal of it to me, right? And that's why I've always enjoyed being in smaller operations where you know it's we're all working towards the same goal. We're just trying to move freight, whether it's putting it in our trucks, whether it's getting it from the shipper, whether you're a
Yep.
carrier, a broker, a driver. All we want to do is come to work and load trucks and
Yep.
deliver freight. Like that's all we're trying to
Absolutely.
do at the end of the day. And it's really not that complicated. And
It
if
really
people screw
isn't.
things up, like I'm gonna let you know you screwed it up. And
Yep.
that's how it's supposed to be.
But see, I
So
also operate with the same expectation of accountability. I expect my partners, my partner carriers, my agents, my customers, if I'm out of pocket, my expectation is somebody says that to me. So in my mind, I have to reciprocate, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to tell some carriers some hard truths, and sometimes it gets ugly. Obviously, that's never the goal, but if you as a carrier just decide to do whatever you want and you jack my load up, you get to call one of the other 30,000 brokers out there tomorrow and fill your truck. I may have lost $1 million account that took me 10 years to get. We don't talk about that enough. There are consequences for actions that brokers have to live with that are 100% outside of our control most of the time.
yeah,
So, from the broker perspective, yeah, we can be very difficult to work with, but you're also playing with our livelihood. Where, if I were in a situation where I could lose an asset, their biggest customer, I expect them to be incredibly upset with me. Incredibly. Right. And so, there are consequences for your actions. I'm sorry. And some people just don't feel like that applies to them. And I don't stand for that, unfortunately. And
no, of course. I mean, doing bad business, I'm gonna let you know you're doing bad business. But okay, so you
100%.
get into this whole, this is not for you sort of thing. What's your next step exiting Allen Lund?
I was fortunate enough that I had bonused that the day that I decided to quit. So I was sitting on a little bit of cash, and I didn't have a plan. Just like when I moved to Arizona, I didn't have a plan. I don't really worry about a plan. I've always been a figure it out kind of guy. So I was going to take 30 days off, camp with the kids, sleep, just not think about freight. And within 15 minutes of resigning post, hundreds of calls, texts were coming in. Where are you going? What are you doing? We will follow you. I didn't realize the level of relationship that logistics had um, until that day.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. And so one of my largest asset carriers called me, the owner Brandon, and said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I told him I don't have a plan. And I said I'm going to take 30 days off and figure it out. He said, "Okay." 30 days later at 8:01 in the morning, he called me and said, "Are you ready to come work for me?" And he offered me an agent position. And this is like pre-COVID, and immediately started making stupid money. And then COVID happened, and then I was just printing money. It was just dumb. But I did $2 and $3 million in revenue off the side of my desk in my little shitty apartment in 18 months. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is tangible, this is legit. And so I was an agent for 18 months, and not being well equipped to pay taxes, I went to go do my taxes that year, and the tax guy was like, "You're gonna owe a ridiculous amount of money." So I wrote a check, and his next statement to me was, "Why are you giving up so much money? Why don't you just do this for yourself and maximize your tax advantages?" And I didn't even blink. I resigned as an agent that day. The following Monday, I had applied for my MC. Within a month, I was up and running.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, let's go through, current day. What's the operation look like? Type of freight you guys are on, lanes you guys are in. I mean, what are you guys up to these days?
We're spot brokers. Agents live in the spot market. We don't want to live in the low margin, high volume crap. We don't want to deal with transactional RFPs. Like, that's not the niche for agents. So we all book spot freight. Our lanes vary. Sometimes we move some of the same stuff, but for the most part, we're all moving different stuff every day, and that's what keeps it exciting. When I
Yeah.
was at Lund, I was moving 3,000 loads a year to Utah, and I did it in my sleep. It was boring. I got bored, and I hate to say that out loud, but like, when you have enough regular carriers and you put stuff on autopilot, I would move more freight than anybody in my office doing the least amount of work. And so people would look at me like, "Well, you're not really doing anything." And I'm like, "Look at the board. The board speaks for itself." Like,
Yeah,
don't talk to
scoreboard.
me. Don't talk to me. We're not even on the same page right now. Like, come on, guys. And so I was fortunate enough that I was handed an account that had a great carrier base, and I just grew the hell out of it, and I grew that account. But I don't want to do that anymore. I love the personal relationship with my customers directly. I still book freight. I have my own book of business. I do not rely on agents to feed my family. Um, I didn't start this to have agents. That just kind of came about organically, and it's been a blessing for the agents and myself. But I don't rely on agent revenue and profit to run our company. The company runs off of my work. And for me, offering the agents an opportunity to make life-changing money and be their own boss is just me giving back because somebody gave me that opportunity and I want to pay it forward. So that's kind of where we stand.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously living in the spot, and that's one of the most. I mean, that's to me the most fun I ever had in this industry is when you
Yep.
come to work, you don't know what's gonna happen, man.
Never.
Especially on
Never.
the dispatch side when I was running trucks, it's like my driver calls, he's like, my brakes are on fire. I'm like, yeah, that hasn't happened before. So,
I mean, the stuff we see in here is crazy. This is the way that I look at it. I get paid to legally gamble. I'm gambling with my own money. I'm not gambling with customers' freight because whether I make money, lose money, whatever, their freight gets delivered and it's done. It's executed to as perfect as I can make it happen. But we're gambling with money, right? In the spot
yeah, of
market,
course.
it's 100% risk. For me, that's exciting. There's my dopamine hit. But I love talking to people. I love building relationships with customers, shippers, receivers, carriers. I love the ability to tell people they're idiots sometimes when they are, because like it's therapeutic to be able to just be like, bro, you jacked that up to a level I didn't know was possible. The level
Yeah.
of special you are today, gold star for sure. But like, what are you gonna do? I mean, when I break stuff, I expect people to be like, Jason, dude, you fucked that bad, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm human. But you know what?
Yeah,
It's
the honesty is what we need
love
more
it.
in this industry.
Yeah. And my customers know, like, the reason, okay, as crazy as this sounds, my LinkedIn content has driven 100% of our company growth in terms of agents and customers. I don't prospect, I don't call agents, I don't have time for it. I hate selling, I'm not pushy. I definitely don't beg people. I just came to LinkedIn to grow my network and learn from people, and it turned into content creation, which drove inbound traffic. And what's cool is I don't have to call 100 people a day and pretend to be friends with people I don't know that I even like to find out 6 months later, I don't want to move your freight because I don't like you. What happens now is people call me who see my content and know what I'm about, good, bad, and ugly, and choose to work with me. So the honeymoon phase is quick. There's no feeling out period. We're skipping first and second base, bro. We're hitting third base and home run day one. I'm cool
Yeah,
with that. It just saves us all time, money, and effort. And
of
so
course.
could I sit
I
here
mean,
and grow my company and, you
LinkedIn
know,
has been the best growth metric probably for both of us in
yeah.
terms of business.
But it can also hurt you if you do something wrong. You will get canceled immediately. And the problem is sometimes you have to fight against people who are emotionally unstable, who pick fights with you that aren't warranted and attempt to harm your reputation. And that's just the nature of being visible in a social media environment, is sometimes you have to deal with a little bit of the crazy. But at the end of the
I mean,
day, bro,
everyone wants you to do good, but nobody ever wants to see you doing better than them, and that's where the animosity
absolutely.
starts to come in.
100%. And listen, at the end of the day, no hater is ever going to be doing better than you. So if they want to hate, let them hate. Like, I don't care if you cheer me on, hate me, pray for me. Doesn't like, I'm going to do me. My why is my two kids, period. That and the
Yeah,
fact that I named the company after my dad. So honestly, I have a fiduciary responsibility to maintain the integrity of my dad's name. So when people come at my company sideways, for example, I had to sue somebody yesterday. Yes, you owe the company money. You're hosing my dad. Now it's personal. My dad's name is on this, and I take it personal. Like, it's very intimate to me. And what's crazy about this is I don't say this often, but I'm gonna clarify this lawsuit from yesterday. That's not even my money. My agent lost that money and paid it back. Me and the company are whole. I'm chasing down money to pay back the agent who got done dirty by a customer. It's not even my money. Imagine if it were my money. You don't
Yeah.
want to owe me money. You really don't.
No, I
Like,
think my favorite yesterday was I think it was McGrew, man, where he's like some dude owed her like $75. He goes, I don't even care that the filing costs are more than $75. Just like the
100%.
principle, you know.
Dude, if it were, $5,000 and it cost me 10 to get it, I'm going to make sure you spend your $5,000. I'm going to get my pound of flesh. Is that a smart, business decision? Probably not, but there's the human element. I can't help that, and I don't fight that anymore. And sometimes, like, I operate best in a spiteful environment. People doubted me my whole life, said I was going
Yeah.
to be a piece of shit and die, and people didn't think I'd succeed in brokerage. And hell, I don't even know that I was going to succeed, but I'll tell you what, I tried out of spite, and now that I'm here, spite drives me to not fail. It's a healthy motivator.
Yeah. I mean, finding motivation, however works for you, is obviously going to be what you need to do in business. I'm the same way. I mean, I had the same thing. Went through childhood. People told me you're not going to be anything. I told myself when I was a little kid, I'm going to be something somewhere somehow, and like
Yep.
obviously made a bunch of mistakes along the way.
Yep.
But I have these conversations with all my friends that had like tough pasts, and it's like we're all, now that we're getting into our mid to late 20s, early 30s, we're all like much better off than
Yeah.
the kids we like all went to school with who had like perfect lives, because they
Of
never
course.
they were never tested, they were never pushed to do anything.
Yep.
And
And the
obviously
minute
not
that they
all
do,
of them,
they don't know how to react when it happens. For us, it's second nature because we've been dealing with it as if it were natural our whole lives.
yeah, exactly. I think I have like that problem where when things are going perfect, I try to screw them up because I'm just not used to like it took me like a long time to get used to living like a very calm life, because like when you grow up like through all
Yep.
the issues, it's like tough to like let things be okay. Like my mom told me the best way pretty recently. She's like, I think you've been like scared of success, because you were on the brink of it so many times and you just kept like not like it's scary to actually
Yeah.
make it in life. It's easy to be a bum.
Well, there's imposter syndrome is real. And when you get a little taste of success, it's uncomfortable because it's not natural. I'm the same way. When shit gets squirrely for me, I go to a dark place. When stuff is going really, really well, I humble myself by going back to a dark place. It's
Yeah.
the only thing that I know how to make me feel comfortable. I'm most comfortable in chaos, whether it's self-organized or just organic, but I
Yeah.
operate best when the shit is just messy. And there's definitely people who are like, I don't understand you. Okay, we all have our own tick.
I
It works
read
for me.
the best quote yesterday. We weren't put on earth for people to understand us. We were put on earth so we can understand ourselves. And
Yep.
I mean, I read that the other day. I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
you don't have to understand me. Like I know I'm trying to figure out my process.
Yep. And I mean, listen, I'm 43 years old. I'm not young. It's taken me a long, long, long time to figure out who I am and what I want out of life. And it probably wasn't until 2 or 3 years ago when I really took my sobriety seriously, where everything
Yeah.
started to click right. And without my sobriety, none of this is working. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, for
I'm a
me, I mean,
highly
I
functioning
started.
alcoholic, but it's just not. I have too many people counting on me, from my friends to my agents, their families, my customers. There's a fear of getting complacent, going back to that well, and then the whole house of cards comes falling down. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I am not built to accept that level of failure, so I choose not to play in that sandbox.
Yeah, I mean, I never had like a massive issue with substances and alcohol and stuff like that. But when I would drink, I would just drink too much. And I would make
Yep.
bad choices,
Sure.
once a month or twice a month. And I started taking. It wasn't even so much for me the not drinking part of the sobriety. It was like the actually starting to go to the gym and like getting healthy, because my sobriety wasn't like the biggest issue, but I've obviously taken that much more serious. For me, it was like I'm in the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week after work, and like that to me was like, if I can do this, like I can do anything, because about
Absolutely.
95% of people are not going to the gym 5, 6, 7 times a week. And now I'm trying to do a triathlon too. So for me, the health, and I feel that same guilt, or not even guilt, but responsibility as you, where it's like, look, man, like I got this camera guy now, I got this editor, we have like this company, that company, these people. Like if I get drunk one night and screw everyone around me's life up, like I can't live with stuff like that.
Nope.
So I mean, there's just too many people that need me to be okay for me to not be okay.
And listen, you need you. At the end of the day, all of that excess stuff is the carrot in front of the stick. But at the end of the day, when you close your eyes, it's just you. You have to take care of you. And I think you said it perfectly. Going to the gym, for me, that is my stress relief. It's my mental health. That is my alcohol. That's my safe space. Like I go to the
Yeah.
gym to work off my anxiousness, my OCD, my anxiety, all that shit that comes with running a company, being a dad, living in this crazy world we live in. All of that stuff sits on the shoulders. And if you don't have a positive way to, remove that, you self-medicate. And then, once I start drinking, I don't, dude, you drink too much, I just don't stop. I'll drink for a year straight, all day, every day. And when I say
Yeah.
I'm an overachiever, I promise you, I drink the way that I
Even
run
in
my
my
business.
drinking, yeah.
Dude, there's no gray. It's we're going hard or we're not going at all.
I
And
mean,
I
there
just,
was two things, man, that really hit me hard. It was like that sentence, hard body, hard mind. And
yep,
then, like we all know Rogers, like John Rogers, like absolutely kills it in business. I remember he made a post maybe months ago. I don't even remember how long ago at this point, where he's like, man, I'm the best in business, but like I can't go to the gym. Like I just can't get myself to do it. And like between Lombard and then you have like Nick and you have like all these guys that are like
yep,
just every single day in your face running, bro, and
yep,
like going to the gym. And like it just hit me like 3 months ago. I remember that day. I was like, nah, man, like enough. Like I used to be an athlete. I want to get back into it. And I think you can go through all the business achievements you want in life, but like going to the gym is going to be tougher than pretty much anything you're going to do.
absolutely. Because it's 1v1 in business, it's you versus the world. Nobody's gonna fault you for not going to the gym. Nobody is gonna fire you for not going to the gym. Like it's you versus you. So it's
There's
all
zero
mental.
consequence.
No. But tell me this though, in going to the gym, don't you feel better about yourself physically, mentally, spiritually? That translates into being a
Everything.
better business person, friend, like
Yep.
whatever you are, like all of those things. There's such a domino effect by going just simply the two things I do every day before I do anything. I get up and I make my bed. There's win number one. I hit the cold dip real quick, just to wake up, and it's miserable, but it's 30 seconds in 40-degree water, and I'm at the gym. So within the first 2 hours, I've done 3 of the hardest things I'm going to do all day. There's nothing throughout the rest of that day that's going to fuck with me. Now, if I
Yeah.
miss one of those 3 things, dude, my dog could sneeze and I want to throw things. Like I have to have those 3 things done in order for me to be a functioning human being.
No,
Right. And
of course.
so I know those are my triggers. Like some people have triggers for things that are in their face. My triggers are not doing things. If I
Yeah,
don't
same.
follow a routine, I need organized chaos. So like I have OCD and I need things to be a certain way, but I also require some chaos in there. It's fucked up, dude. It's
No,
very
like
difficult to
people, like
understand.
I posted on my Instagram the other day, man. Like, so like this is my studio. Like I'm sitting in my studio, and like just behind all of like this perfect stuff is like my computer with like just cables,
Yeah.
bro.
Yep.
And some guy sends me a message. He's like, bro, you need to fix your cables. I'm like, dude, like I have OCD about stuff, but like certain things I leave to be a disaster.
Yes.
Like I feel
Yes.
comfort in the mess sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be a little unhinged to be like us, to
Yeah,
be in
like you need
freight,
to
you
be in
gotta be a little.
trucking. Yeah,
Yes.
like to be in
Yes.
trucking, you need to have some red flags.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man. I'm
So,
gonna get us out of here in the next 10 to 12 minutes, just
okay.
as we start wrapping up everything more work oriented. I mean, take me through the carrier side of things. You said you opened up something to do with assets. I mean, I see truck lines somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. I bought a box truck about 4 months ago, and I'm not shy about it. I want nothing to do with being in a box truck and driving a box truck or owning a box truck. So I bought it to legally start an asset company and age my MC so that I could bring on owner operators and help them run their business. And I have no intention of owning this asset for any longer than I have to. The wheels have never been turned once, but I legally own a legit truck, title in my name. I didn't insure a ghost truck. I did it the
Yeah.
right way. But the second I can sell it, I will. And I'll bring on owner operators, box truck guys mostly. And the unfortunately we move a lot of box truck stuff. So I have to deal with foreign dispatchers, and they are the bane of my existence. Honestly, they really are. And I mean, like, the foreign dispatchers that use American names that don't understand how to sell the load back to their
Yeah,
carrier.
the shitty ones. But
Yeah, who are obviously here on a commission-based scale, And what they do is they'll book 3 loads, and whichever one pays the most, they'll drop the other 2 and then dispatch the truck on the one. And that truck owner doesn't know that their MC is getting raped on the back end. And so I can't build a relationship with a trucking company if I'm dealing with 19 different dispatch companies who don't understand loyalty. So for me, they jack my stuff up. And so I found a need. The box truck owners need American, and it doesn't have to be American. They can use foreign, whatever, as long as they're good at what they do.
Listen, man,
operate with integrity.
I'll save you the beating around the bush. So like I've sold some box truck freight on the brokerage side. Like it is always going to
brutal.
be like
Tell me it's not brutal, dude.
It's just all the Indian guys every single time.
It's
like
brutal.
I remember the first. So I learned this about box truck freight. The first box truck load I was given to sell in brokerage, I posted it up with my phone number. Biggest mistake in my entire life. My coworker was like, "Brother, box truck freight is email only, and your email doesn't stop moving." Like I learned that minute one of moving box truck freight.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah, like that is what it is. And like you said, if you can bring owner ops in and give them your freight and help them out, like that is a need, to be honest, because the box truck industry is 99% foreigners, and not that that's a problem. No. Because there are good ones. There's great ones. But it's just, it is true in box truck space, like majority are tough to deal with. Right?
Yeah. And being from the brokerage side, having my own freight, but also understanding what carriers want from brokers and vice versa, I can help educate the new green trucking company owners, because these guys go buy a box truck. They don't need a CDL. They watch a YouTube video and think they know how to run a business. They really need somebody to help guide them through the pitfalls that can put them out of business right away. So I want to be able to help them, put them on a 6-month contract to let their own MC age, and then kick them out the door. So that way they're prepared to run their own business instead of getting punched in the mouth for 180 days at every opportunity because they're just going to sell their truck and dip. Right. And so, yeah. And if we can dispatch them out of the company once they leave, if they want to have us dispatch for them, obviously that's a revenue generation for us. But the goal isn't just to have 100 owner operators running. It's literally to turn and burn new guys and help them. So I have a very specific,
help them get into the industry without getting like absolutely crapped on along the way.
Absolutely. Yep. So I don't want to dispatch owner operators for OTR. I don't want to adjust specific to box trucks. So I'm going to niche down, and I have a very specific time frame and need for what I want to provide. And sure, if they want to stay longer, cool. But the goal is to get you to the point where you understand how to do all of this by yourself. And
so exactly. And honestly, like we both know, like, I mean, it's not that difficult. If somebody, that's the thing, right? So the plumber comes to your house, he fixes something in 5 minutes, charges you $500. You tell him, bro, that was 5 minutes of work. Plumber tells you, nah, bro, that's like 15 years of experience. That's why it took me 5 minutes. If you try, it's take you 5 years. And that's just all it is, right? Like, because being an owner op, in theory, if you know exactly what to do, it's very simple. It's just the fact that nobody's ever showed these guys this stuff. And when they're new, they always get put into like a mega carrier, get taught nothing. And it's just, it is what it is. Like this.
I say this all the time, and I'm dead ass when I say this. Just because you can back up a truck doesn't mean you have any business running a company.
Of course.
Just because you can, like you can't, well, I bought a truck and I invested all this money, but do you understand how to run a P&L? Do you understand
do you even know how to dispatch freight?
There's so much that goes into it on top of just driving the truck that, great, you can drive the truck. Now, let me educate you on the business side. I do the same thing for agents. Some agents will come to me and say, hey, I have my own brokerage, but I'm not doing well. Well, that's because nobody told you for the first 18 months, A, B, and C are going to prevent you from being successful. Come work with me. I will show you how to get around those hurdles proactively and let your MC age start running some freight through your book so that your broker credit starts to do what it needs to do. And I've helped several agents that are very temporary, just trying to recapture how to run their business the right way. I'm not here to steal market share and be greedy. I will 100% give back to anybody willing to put in the work, even if that means they're going to go out and be a competitor of mine. I'm not scared about my freight going anywhere. I don't have any fear whatsoever.
No, I've always said that to people. If you're gonna lose a load over one little thing, you were gonna lose that customer anyways.
100%. 100%. 1,000%. So, and my customers understand. I'm loyal to them. I expect loyalty in return.
I think that's a good place to leave it, man. You got Max Freightlines, Max Truck Lines. I like the idea of, helping the new guys out in the trucking space. Let's get into your craziest logistics story. I mean, I'm sure you got at least one of those.
Oh, bro. Craziest logistics story. Well, had a guy we loaded in Nogales going to New Jersey, decided to go to Denver and pick up 100 pounds of weed and put it in some broccoli, and disappeared for 10 days. And we got a call from the FBI in New Jersey. Hey, is this your truck? And we're like, I mean, that's our load. And they were like, yeah, there was 100 pounds of marijuana in it. And we were like, oh shit, okay. Well, so what now? Well, the guy got arrested. Okay. Well, how do we get our product out? Right. So 10 minutes later, the guy calls us from jail and asks us to quick pay him for bail money.
Nah, bro, come on.
Bro,
There's no way. Are you serious?
Dead ass. I'm like, bro, you're federally fucked. There's no quick, dude. What are you talking about?
He asked for quick pay.
Dude.
He asked for quick pay on a load
Man,
that he stuffed 100 pounds of weed into
We're
and
like,
got arrested for it.
You think you're getting paid for this? Like, dude, we had to literally fly somebody out to New Jersey to release the freight so that we could get it to the shipper.
Dude.
And dude, these people just do whatever they want. They do whatever they want.
That's my favorite. So, but like, didn't the load have like a seal on it? Like, bro, like what? Like,
we don't know where he put it. We don't know if he stuck it in with the broccoli. We don't know if he taped it underneath the truck. We don't know if it was in the cab. We don't know. We just know that they didn't let us take the truck, but they let us cross dock at the impound.
Okay. So you don't know what he did. I mean, I wouldn't ask questions either, bro. If the FBI started calling me, telling me this, I'd be like, dude, just give me my customers free. Just let me get away from all of this.
I don't it's crazy what people will do for money, right? Like,
yeah. I was thinking about that, man.
Money,
I was thinking about that, man. There's a movie. I'll try to find it and give you the name, man. It's basically a movie where like it takes place like all in one diner. It's like pretty newer movie, and like there's some car that has like $1 million, some bank robbers, and they're like chilling, waiting for gas because they have no gas, and they're somewhere in the middle of the desert, like Arizona, Vegas area. And like they're waiting for a gas truck to come to a gas station so they can put fuel in their car and continue on with the stolen money. And long story short, like everybody ends up coming to this diner. Everybody figures out there's millions of dollars in the car. And then at the end of the movie, like everyone's dead. And I'm like, bro, like I did all of this over paper, bro. Like 18 people died just for some pieces of paper. Like,
hey, and the paper's not even real, homie. I hate to tell you all this, but my bank is Capital One, and Capital One servers went down for 96 hours 2 weeks ago. I had zero access to all of my money for 3 days. You want to talk about a helpless, hopeless, desperate feeling? I'm telling you right now, when the shit hits the fan and they shut the banks down and all that fake money you have in the bank isn't accessible, you're going to feel like I felt for 96 hours. And fortunately for me, I've always known this is coming and I've prepared. I wasn't prepared for that. That I could tell you, but personally,
that's a little too much.
Personally, I'm prepared, bro. I got plenty of pews, gold, silver, alcohol, and medicine to trade when money isn't worth shit, dude. Because that's really what it's going to come down. We're going to have to barter to live.
Yeah, I've been one of those skeptics of whenever that one bank crashed. Like, I can't remember. You know, it's like one random bank that just collapsed, like somewhere in the States, like a year ago. Ever since that happened, I've been like, I don't know about this.
I had a factoring company one day that was my customer. They sent me 300 grand overnight in my bank account with an email saying, "Here is all the money we owe your carriers. You pay them. We're canceling your contract." And like 6 weeks later, they went out of business. If they wouldn't have given me that money and they just went out of business with all that money, my company would have taken a shit. So you're not wrong. And so I have a very, very healthy relationship with my factoring company, who is very liquid. And I work on finding that information out regularly. But your bank shutting down, dude,
yeah, it's like almost I don't want to say it's inevitable. I don't want to talk about these things. I feel the same way, dude.
This is my motto: 1 is none, and 2 is one. If you don't have redundancies in your business, your personal, your finances, your preparations, 1 goes quick. 2 is the answer. So I have 2 bank accounts now. Like, I had to open another bank account to make sure if one went down, I have access to pay vendors. I have access to pay my agents. I can eat. Like, yo. Yeah.
We got 5 minutes left to wrap up the show. We're gonna rapid fire through some personal questions with you. I'll condense it very fast. Favorite movie?
Dazed and Confused.
Favorite song?
Favorite song? Oh shit, dude. Tupac, hit him up.
Okay. Favorite sport or sports? I mean, like, what you watch in sports? You follow any sports? Play any
Man, that's
sports?
tough, bro. I grew up playing baseball and football, so I'm gonna have to go with both football and baseball.
Football, baseball. And you watch any favorite teams?
I watch them all because I'm a degenerate gambler. I make real. Yo,
Yeah.
I'm good at fantasy football, and just through the data information, it makes it easier to place bets. So,
And there's
I mean, I'm
also
not
the
a
sales
degenerate
advantage.
gambler,
There's a
but
sales advantage in business as well to knowing
for
all
sure.
the latest sports, and everybody's always talking about football and college football.
Well, listen, gambling is about understanding trend lines, right? So in brokerage, if you don't understand the trend lines of your niche, your carrier base, the weather, all of those things are drivers. And if you don't know how to look at them and you're just looking at a spreadsheet or DAT, you're screwed. So it's translatable to both, sports betting, fantasy football, brokerage. I hate to say that out loud because it glamorizes it, but in reality, that's the truth.
No, I mean, like trucking is legal gambling. And I remember I had a comment blow up the other day. I mean, the guy's like, well, this guy didn't want to give it to me for 5 hours ago, but he sold it at 16 like
I remember
now.
that.
I'm like,
that's exactly
yeah,
what
I'm
you
like,
told him.
bro, because this guy's fucking gambling. Like he wanted to make $100,
but
now
also,
he lost $100.
The truck was gambling too. Like we're both gambling against each other. That's really all it is. The trucks are doing the same thing. Sorry, if you live in the spot market, we're all gambling.
We're all gambling, yeah. And that's the thing. And there is like a certain level of gambling that comes into trucking, right? Like we've all done it. We've all been through it. And the spot market is quite literally.
I mean, even in the contract market, dude, the contract market is just one long-term gamble. You're gambling on a year's worth of data. Hell no. After watching what happened during COVID, I don't want anything to do with contracts. Nothing.
Yeah. Nope. But like I said, it's not to glamorize it, but obviously the more you know and the more you learn, the better your odds are. But at the end of the day, like you're still gambling in the spot market 100%.
100%. And I'm willing to lose money when I'm playing poker. I'm willing to lose money when I'm betting on sports. I'm definitely willing to lose money on loads, because I'm accountable for my word. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, it doesn't matter whether I made money or not. And they don't need to know. It's none of their business.
Yeah.
I don't tell
And I've always said that. I've always said that as a dispatcher, bro. I don't know. Everybody's like on this transparency thing. Like if my truck made the money I wanted it to make in the market data that I'm used to using on the market lanes and the market rates I've analyzed over like my career of 2, 3, 4 years, as long as my truck makes what I wanted it to make, I don't care what the shipper made, what the broker made. Like I don't care, because I got paid what I wanted my driver to get paid. And that's my opinion.
The argument about the carriers needing to have their costs covered, what frustrates me is about that is you have 300,000 carriers. All of them have different costs. How is the market supposed to appreciate all of that different variable? It's just
I mean, I just saw Bob USA Transportation, bro. His bill, bro. This guy spent $340,000 on a brand new truck. I'm sure his costs are going to be slightly higher than the dude running the paper log, 1990 DPF.
Driving his own truck too. The guy who owns and drives his own truck just saved all that labor. And so when the guys who have high overhead complain about the guys taking cheap freight is a subjective term. It means that it's cheap to you, but it doesn't mean it's cheap to somebody else. So
and at the same time, I think we can both agree that people that have no business bidding on freight have bid on freight completely incorrectly.
Definitely. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. There's some kids who shouldn't be allowed on the internet that are making moves. Who just, dude, and I question who put them in those positions and allow them to stay there, because they're fucking it up for everybody.
There's definitely issues, the owner ops taking the cheap freight and then the brokers bidding super cheap. Like we all know, like that's stuff. If you're in this industry long enough, you should know that yourself.
Here's the biggest driver of cheap freight: companies who have VC backed money coming in, who don't care about showing profit. They just need to show growth in revenue. So what do? They undercut everybody to show that they can drive revenue north.
Volume.
Nobody cares about the profit there. And so those companies are the single biggest driver in the deflation of the freight market. And those companies don't care about the relationship with the carrier. And so those 8 or 10 massives make it hard for guys like us who don't operate that way. So
I mean, it's like Walmart versus the brick and mortar mom and pop.
Definitely.
It's always going to be like that in every industry.
And listen, at the end of the day, when the trucks are like, well, we should never lose money. I'm sitting in front of Walmart. You don't think they lose millions of dollars on some of their freight sometimes? You don't think they lose millions of dollars on some of the investments they make with their products? Of course they do. Nobody is guaranteed to be profitable 100% of the time, and nobody is entitled to profit ever. You have to earn it.
You have
The
to earn it.
entitlement drives me crazy.
Yeah, just because you own a truck and you sit in the truck doesn't afford you the chance to make profit on every single load. I mean,
profit doesn't discriminate against one's overhead, right? It just doesn't work that way.
All right, before we start pissing off everybody, let's move on to the last two questions. How often you think of the Roman Empire?
Once in my life, and it was a nanosecond ago when you asked me.
There you go. That's a pretty solid answer. I won't even lie. Yeah. Last possible question, man. I'm really interested to hear your opinion on this one. It's chicken wing choices. When you eat chicken
flat
wings
all day, bro. Flats
all day. Fuck sakes. That's the wrong answer. Let's go into ranch versus blue cheese dipping sauce.
Flats and ranch. You bring me drums and blue cheese, get away from me.
That's my order, bro. See, that's why we got into it, because we're complete opposites, bro.
Dude, the flats are easy. You can mow that thing down.
Do you do that thing? Do you do that pinch and pull thing?
Absolutely. I don't want to be mowing on tendons, dude. That's nasty.
Yeah, same.
But also the flats hit the ranch and the blue cheese easier. If you got a gnarly drum and you can't fit it in the blue cheese,
I know.
No,
I gotta learn this twist. I gotta learn this twist and pull thing. You guys might be onto something. Justin Martin sent me a YouTube video. I gotta watch it again.
Dude, the quality of the experience is better because you get more meat.
Breaded or non-breaded flats?
OG, dude. I don't need breaded. We're not at McDonald's. I don't need chicken nuggets. Give me the real shit, dude. And make it as spicy as possible without sacrificing taste.
You went 0 for 3 on chicken wing choices. However, I will give you the last statement. As spicy as it can be without sacrificing taste is something I agree with. I love spicy food, but if you give me something that's spicy just for the sake of being spicy, has no flavor to it, I'm going to tell you, get that away from me for sure.
Two best things I could give you in terms of that: mango habanero from Buffalo Wild Wings. They sell the mango habanero by itself. One of my agents makes a straw blaze that is to me every month. I don't use anything else. That's the only thing I eat.
Nice. Well, like I said, man, thank you for coming through here. For anybody who watches this, I mean, just because you've had issues with people in the past, you're not always going to be like, there's always room to turn a new leaf if people are open to it, and we clearly were. So
100%. I appreciate the time, man. Thank you for being cordial and agreeing.
Of course.
Hopefully we've both come out of this in a better situation personally and professionally, and let's go.
I hope, honestly, just for our growth and our ability to do the show today and actually keep in touch throughout all of this, I hope other people in this industry have the ability and chance and can see from a situation like this where we were literally mortal enemies to the fact where we can sit together and actually learn from each other and have a conversation that provides value to us and the people around us. I hope it's going to be a net positive for the industry, man.
Likewise, man. I hope so.
Hey, have a good rest of your day. I hope your family ends up being okay, and keep in touch for sure.
I appreciate you, brother. Have a great weekend.
You too, bro. That's going to wrap up season 2, episode 2 of Asset Based with Jason Rabine, president of Max Freightlines. That's going to be it for me. Have a great weekend, everybody.